There is a white bucket by the stone path near my koi pond. It holds about 2.5 gallons of water, a handful of grass clippings, and nothing else you can see. Every mosquito in the neighborhood flies toward it at dusk, not away from it, toward it. They are drawn by the smell of the grass as it breaks down in the water. They lay their eggs on the surface, hundreds of them, and within a day every larva is dead. The water does not harm my koi. It does not harm the dragonflies that rest on the bucket's rim, the frogs that live beneath the stone lantern, or the small birds that come to drink. It kills only the young of the mosquito. My name is Keiko Tanaka. I have kept this small wooden home in Kanazawa for over 50 years. I studied simplicity at a temple nearby and learned that the best solutions are often the ones you can hold in both hands. The bucket is one of them, but before I show you how it works, you must understand why your own yard is raising the very enemy you are trying to escape. The mosquitoes biting you at dusk were likely born within 300 feet of where you are standing. They did not fly in from the neighbor's pond or the woods at the edge of town. They were raised in your own yard in water you did not know was there. A mosquito needs only a week of still water to grow from egg to flying adult. Look at the saucer beneath the potted plant on your porch. It has held an inch of water since the last rain. That is enough. Walk to the side of your house where the hose lies coiled in the grass. If the end is open and pointed upward, it has filled with water. That is a nursery. Check the toys your grandchildren left in the yard, the overturned trash can lid, the depression in the top covering the woodpile. Each one is raising mosquitoes. Your gutters, if they sag in the middle and hold water after a storm, are raising hundreds. The problem is not the mosquitoes flying in. The problem is the ones you are raising yourself. Every container you empty breaks the cycle. Every pool you drain removes a generation before it can bite. But the bucket does something better. It turns the water into a trap. When I was a child in this house, my grandmother burned mosquito coils at dusk. They were small spirals made from dried chrysanthemum, invented in 1890, and they smoldered for 7 to 12 hours without flame. The smoke kept the mosquitoes from landing on our skin. The coils worked, but they did not kill. They only repelled. The mosquitoes moved a few feet away and waited. Her generation did not need anything stronger because they kept no standing water. There were no plastic saucers under plants, no children's toys left in the grass, no decorative containers holding rain. The gutters were clean. The water barrel had a lid. If a bucket collected rain, it was dumped the next morning. Everyone did this because standing water bred mosquitoes, and mosquitoes carried illness. It was simply how you kept a house. But the world has changed. We have more plastic now, more containers, more hidden pools of water. We have bird baths we forget to change, potted plants that drain into saucers, tarps that sag and hold rain for weeks. The old way of burning chrysanthemum and keeping no standing water worked when everyone practiced both. Today we practice neither. We cannot eliminate every source of water in a modern yard. There are too many places it hides. So we need something stronger, not to replace the discipline my grandmother kept, but to catch what we miss. The bucket does that. It kills the larvae before they can ever bite you. The bucket is any 5-gallon size. You fill it halfway with water from your hose or from the rain. The water sits still. Into that water you drop 1 handful of grass clippings, freshly cut or a few days old. The grass begins to break down. As it does, it releases carbon dioxide into the air just above the surface. You cannot smell it, but a female mosquito can sense it from 100 feet away. She flies toward it because carbon dioxide is the same signal your breath makes when you are sitting outside at dusk. It tells her a warm body is near, but there is no body near this bucket. only still water. She lands on the surface and lays her eggs, sometimes 100 in one visit. Within hours, the eggs hatch into larvae. They hang just below the surface, feeding on microorganisms in the water, growing larger each day. This is where the trap closes. Before you filled the bucket, you dropped in one small disc, about the size of a coin. It is called a BTI dunk. BTI is a soil bacterium that has been used to kill mosquito larvae since 1981. The dunk floats or sinks, it does not matter. As it dissolves, it releases spores into the water. The larvae feed on the water and swallow the spores. Within 24 hours, the spores create a hole in the larva's stomach. The hole appears because the mosquito larva has an alkaline gut, a specific chemistry that activates the toxin inside the spore. The larva cannot digest food. It starves and dies before it can ever grow wings. This is not a poison that harms everything it touches. It is a key that fits only one lock. The gut of a mosquito larva, a black fly larva, or a fungus gnat larva is alkaline in the exact way that allows the BTI spore to act. Nothing else in your garden has that gut. Not the koi in your pond. Not the dragonfly nymph in the same water. Not the frog, the bee, the butterfly, or the small bird that drinks from the bucket's edge. Not your dog if it laps the water. Not you if you dip your hand in. The larvae die. Everything else continues as it was. One dunk treats 100 square feet of water surface for 30 days. After that you replace it. The bucket remains. The water remains. The grass clippings can be left or added fresh. You do not need to empty it or start again. The trap keeps working as long as the dunk is active. I have kept this bucket in my garden for 3 summers. My koi are still here. The dragonflies are still here. The mosquitoes are not. You are thinking about the pond, the bird bath, the dog's water bowl. You are wondering if this thing I am telling you to add to water is safe for the creatures you care about. I will tell you plainly. It is safe. BTI has been used in Germany's public mosquito control program since 1981. Not in a few gardens as an experiment. In public waterways, in drinking water reservoirs, in places where fish spawn and frogs lay eggs and dragonflies hunt. It has been used for over 40 years without harming any of them. The German authorities do not take such decisions lightly. They studied the chemistry, they tested the water, they watched what lived and what died. Only the mosquito larvae died. The fish, the frogs, the dragonflies, all of them continued as they had before. This is not only true in Germany, it is true in my own garden. I have koi in a small pond no larger than a tatami mat. I have dragonflies that rest on the lotus leaves. I have frogs that live beneath the stone lantern and sing at dusk. I have sparrows and white-eyes that come to drink from the bucket's rim. I have a dog, an old Shiba, who sometimes laps at the water when I am not watching. None of them have ever been harmed, not once in 3 summers. The poison is not a poison to them. It is only a poison to the mosquito larva because the larva has a gut that no other creature in your garden has. The chemistry is selective. It does not spread. It does not persist. It does not harm anything but the one thing it was designed to kill. You are not adding danger to your garden. You are removing it. The danger is the mosquito, the itch, the illness it can carry. The bucket ends that danger without creating another. I have watched it work. I have seen the larvae die and the koi swim past them as if they were only bits of leaf. I have seen the dragonflies hatch in the same water where the dunk floats. I have seen my dog drink and then lie down in the shade, unbothered, This is not faith. This is evidence. And if my word is not enough, the 40 years of German water authorities should be. You need a bucket. Any 5-gallon bucket will do, the kind you might already have in your garage, or the kind you can buy at any hardware store for a few dollars. It does not need a lid. It does not need to be clean. A bucket that once held paint or soil is fine, as long as you rinse it once with water from the hose. Set the bucket somewhere in your yard where you can leave it all season, not on the porch where you will trip over it, but not so far away that you forget it exists. Fill the bucket halfway with water. You can use water from your hose, rainwater collected in another container, or even water from your pond if you have one. Mosquitoes do not care if the water is clean. In fact, they prefer water that is slightly dirty, water that has a little bit of life already in it. Halfway full is enough. More than that, and the bucket becomes heavy. Less than that, and the surface is too far down inside for the mosquito to reach comfortably. Now add the grass clippings. 1 handful is all you need. If you mowed your lawn yesterday, take a handful from the pile. If you did not mow, pull a handful of grass or weeds from the edge of the garden. You can also use a few dead leaves. The grass or leaves will begin to break down in the water, and as they do, they will release carbon dioxide. That is what draws the mosquito to the bucket. Drop the grass or leaves into the bucket. Do not worry about how much. 1 handful is enough. Too much, and the water will begin to smell unpleasant within a week, though even that will not stop the mosquitoes from coming. Now take the BTI dunk. It is a small brown disc, about the size of a large coin, and it floats when you drop it into water. You can buy a package of them at any garden center or hardware store. 1 dunk treats 100 square feet of water surface for 30 days. Your bucket is only a few square feet, so 1 dunk will last the full month. Drop it into the water. It does not matter if it floats on the surface or sinks to the bottom. It will dissolve slowly over the next 30 days, releasing the spores into the water. The dunk will begin working within hours. By tomorrow, any larva that hatches in that water will die before it can grow wings. You do not need to stir the water. You do not need to do anything else. The trap is set. Now you must decide where to place the bucket. This is more important than you might think. Do not put the bucket directly beside your back door or your porch where you sit in the evening. If you do, the mosquitoes will gather near the bucket, and some of them will bite you before they ever lay their eggs in the water. You want the bucket far enough away that it draws the mosquitoes away from where you are sitting, but close enough that it is still within their territory. Place the bucket within 100 feet of where you spend time outside. If you sit on the back porch in the evening, place the bucket near the edge of the yard, perhaps under a tree or beside the fence. If you spend time in the garden, place it at the far corner, where you do not walk often, but where you know the mosquitoes gather at dusk. The bucket should be in shade or partial sun. Full sun will cause the water to evaporate quickly, and you will need to refill it every few days. Shade keeps the water level more stable. Mosquitoes prefer to lay their eggs in water that is not too hot, so shade makes the trap more attractive to them. If you have a place in your yard where you always see mosquitoes in the evening, that is where the bucket should go. The bucket will give them what they are already looking for, and it will kill their young in the process. Once the bucket is in place, leave it. Do not move it every few days. Do not empty it and start over unless the water dries out completely or fills with so much debris that you cannot see the surface. The trap works best when it is left alone. The water will turn slightly green or brown within a week. That is normal. That is the grass breaking down. That is the smell the mosquitoes are following. Some people see the dark water and think something has gone wrong. Nothing has gone wrong. That is exactly what you want. The bucket is not decoration. It is a tool. It should look like a bucket of old water sitting in the grass, because that is what it is, and that is what kills them. Perhaps you have been told that bats will solve your mosquito problem, or purple martins. Put up a bat house, and the mosquitoes will disappear. I have heard this many times. I believed it myself once. It sounds reasonable. Bats hunt at dusk. Purple martins eat thousands of insects each day. Surely they must be eating mosquitoes, but there is no documented study that proves this. Not one. No study showing that bats or purple martins consume enough adult mosquitoes to protect a yard. The evidence is only anecdotal. Someone saw a bat at dusk and assumed it was eating mosquitoes, but watching is not measuring. A bat may eat mosquitoes, I do not doubt that, but not enough to matter. Not enough to stop the ones biting you when you sit outside. Purple martins eat flying insects, but mosquitoes are only a small part of what they catch. Even if they ate nothing but mosquitoes, there are too many hatching each day for a few birds to make a difference. This is why the bucket works, and waiting for predators does not. The predator hunts the adult, the one that has already grown wings and left the water. By then it has already bitten you. If it is female, it has already laid eggs before the bat finds it. You are not solving the problem. You are chasing it after it has multiplied. The bucket kills the larva before it can bite anyone. That is where the cycle must be broken. Not in the air, but in the water. But even the bucket cannot do everything. There is work you must still do. The bucket kills the eggs laid inside it, but it does not stop breeding in other water. The bucket is a trap for the mosquitoes that find it, but there are 100 other places in your yard where a female can lay eggs if she does not find the bucket first. A saucer beneath a potted plant, a toy left in the grass after the rain, a trash can lid that has flipped over and now holds an inch of water. These are still nurseries. The bucket does not empty them for you. You must walk your property once a week and do that work yourself. I walk mine every Sunday morning. It takes 15 minutes. I start at the front porch and work my way around the house. I check the saucers beneath the potted plants. If there is water in them, I tip them out. I check the gutters from below. If I see a sag where water might be sitting, I make a note to clean them before the next rain. I walk to the side of the house where the hose lies coiled. If the end is pointed upward, I turn it down so water cannot collect inside. I check the children's toys in the grass. A small plastic car with a roof that has filled with rain. A bucket they were using to carry stones. I empty them. I check the top covering the woodpile. It has sagged in the middle and is holding water. I lift the edge and let it drain. I check the bird bath. It has water in it, but I change that water every 3 days anyway, so it is not a problem. I check the base of the downspout where water sometimes pools after a heavy rain. Today it is dry. I make a full circle of the house and the garden. 15 minutes, that is all it takes. Larvae need at least a week to mature from egg to flying adult. If you dump the water every 6 days, you break the cycle before they can finish growing. It does not matter which day you do it. What matters is that you do it once every 6 days, no longer. 7 days is too late. By then the larvae have already grown wings and left the water. Mark your calendar if you need to. Tie it to another task you already do every week. I do it on Sunday because that is the day I walk the garden anyway. Adding a few minutes to look for standing water is not extra work. It is just part of the same walk. This is not new. Your grandmother did this. My grandmother did this. They did not call it mosquito control. They did not think of it as a separate task. It was simply how you kept a house. You did not leave water sitting where insects could breed. You emptied the basin after washing, you dumped the bucket after it rained, you checked the gutters twice a season. Everyone did this because everyone understood that standing water brought mosquitoes, and mosquitoes carried illness. We stopped doing it not because it stopped working, but because we forgot it was necessary. We thought the mosquitoes came from somewhere else. We thought the problem was too large for one person to solve, but it is not. The mosquitoes in your yard are the ones you raised. The water they bred in is the water you left, and the work required to stop them is the same work your grandmother did every Sunday without thinking about it. The bucket helps. It kills the ones that find it, but the bucket is not a replacement for the weekly walk. It is a tool that works alongside the walk, catching what you miss. Together, they break the cycle. The bucket traps the mosquitoes that lay eggs in the water you set for them. The weekly walk removes the water you did not mean to leave. One without the other is not enough, but both together, practiced every week, will give you an evening outside without the constant hum and the bite you feel an hour later. One bucket treats 100 square feet of water surface for 30 days. What does that mean for your yard? Small yards, the kind you can walk end to end in 30 seconds, need only one bucket. Perhaps two if your property stretches long and narrow, or if you have a side yard separated from the back by a fence or hedge. Larger properties may need 3, but do not place them randomly across the lawn. That is not how this works. The bucket must go where the mosquitoes already gather. Walk your yard at dusk tomorrow. Stand still and watch. You will see them. They hover near the back corner of the fence. They gather under the tree where the shade stays damp. They circle the spot where the dog's water bowl sits, or the place where the hose drips slowly into the grass. Those are the places, not the open lawn. Mosquitoes stay close to shelter, close to shade, close to moisture. They do not wander far from where they were born, and they do not venture into open space where the wind can carry them away. So place your bucket near where you see them. Within 10 feet if you can. That is close enough to draw them in. Farther than that, and they may never find it. If you have a small yard, and you see mosquitoes in only one place, one bucket is enough. Set it there. If you have a larger property, and you see them gathering in 2 places, perhaps near the back porch, and also by the shed at the far edge, then place 1 bucket in each location. 3 buckets is the most I have ever needed, and my property is not small. More than that, and you are either placing them where mosquitoes do not gather, or you have not yet walked your yard to empty the standing water that is breeding them in the first place. Remember, the bucket is a trap for the mosquitoes that come to it. It is not a shield. It does not protect the whole yard just by being there. It only works where it is placed. So place it carefully. Each bucket needs 1 BTI dunk, and each dunk lasts 30 days. Mark your calendar on the day you drop the first dunk in. 30 days from now, you will need to replace it. The old dunk will have dissolved completely, or nearly so. You will see only a small fragment left floating on the surface. Drop in a new one. You do not need to remove the old fragment. It will finish dissolving on its own. You do not need to empty the water or clean the bucket. Just add the new dunk and the trap keeps working. Tie this task to something else you already do monthly. I replace mine on the first Sunday of each month, the same day I check the pond filter. You might tie it to paying a bill or changing the calendar or any other small task you do not forget. The important thing is that you do not let it go past 30 days. After that, the dunk is spent. The trap is still drawing mosquitoes in, but it is no longer killing their larvae. You are giving them a place to breed instead of a place to die. The grass clippings inside the bucket can stay or be refreshed. I refresh mine every few weeks, simply because I am mowing the lawn and I have fresh clippings to add. But it is not necessary. The old clippings will continue breaking down and releasing carbon dioxide for as long as they remain in the water. If the water level drops because of evaporation, add more water from the hose. If the bucket dries out completely, which can happen in a hot summer if the bucket is in full sun, refill it and start again. The water can stay all season if it does not dry out. By September, the water in my bucket has turned dark, nearly black, and thick with broken down grass and leaves. It does not look like something you would want in your garden, but the mosquitoes still come to it, and their larvae still die in it, and that is all that matters. Do not judge the trap by how it looks. Judge it by whether you are being bitten at dusk. If you are not, the trap is working. I want to know where you found mosquito larvae in a place you never expected. Leave a comment and tell me. I have found them in a folded tarp, in the cap of a fence post, in a ceramic dish I thought had drained. You will be surprised what holds water when you start looking. There is another method I use in this garden, one that works alongside the bucket for pests that do not breed in water. It is the natural next step after today. I will show you that soon. For now, remember 3 things. The bucket, half filled with water, and 1 BTI dunk placed where the mosquitoes gather at dusk. The weekly walk, dumping every container that has collected rain before the larvae can grow wings. The 30-day replacement of the dunk, marked on your calendar so you do not forget. These 3 things together will give you what you want. An evening outside without the hum, without the itch an hour later, without retreating indoors when the sun is still warm and the garden is at its most beautiful. This is not complicated work. It is not expensive. It does not require a service to come to your house every month with a truck and a sprayer. It requires a bucket, a handful of grass, a small disc that dissolves in water, and 15 minutes each week to walk your own property with your eyes open. That is all. Your grandmother did work like this without thinking it was special. She did it because it needed doing and because no one else was going to do it for her. She kept no standing water. She checked the gutters. She emptied the basin. She did not call it pest control. She called it keeping a house. We have forgotten that the simplest things still work, that the work our hands can do is often better than the work we pay someone else to do for us. The bucket is one of them. The weekly walk is another. And the peace of an evening outside, when the mosquitoes no longer come, is what you earn when you do both. I will see you soon.